Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Global. We'll get you top stories from India and the region. I am Tanvi Taneja, and for news from the rest of the world, I'm joined by my colleague in London, Julia Chapman. Hi, Julia.
Thanks, Tanvi. It's 11:30 a.m. in London and 12:30 p.m. across Central Europe. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, a political shake-up in France, diplomacy in the Middle East, and fears for Ukrainian truckers. But first, the headlines.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates the country's largest vibrant Gujarat global trade show in Gandhinagar, meets world leaders and CEOs of top global corporations. French President Emmanuel Macron expected to appoint a new Prime Minister today as he looks for a political reset ahead of the European Parliament elections. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken to discuss the way forward in Gaza as he meets Israeli leaders in Tel Aviv, tells Israeli Foreign Minister a different and much better future is possible. Taiwan issues alert after China's satellite launch, closely monitors Chinese balloons that threaten aviation safety ahead of the pivotal vote on January 13th. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a two-day visit to the western Indian state of Gujarat. PM Modi, along with President of Mozambique, inaugurated the vibrant Gujarat Global Trade Show. A total of 100 countries are participating in the trade show as visiting countries, while 33 countries will join as partners. This time, the trade show features 13 halls, each dedicated to various themes, including Make in Gujarat and Atmanirbhar Bharat. Around 450 micro, small and medium enterprises units are taking part in the trade show. Vibrant Gujarat Global Trade Show companies are displaying products made from world-class, state-of-the-art technology. E-mobility, startups, MSMEs, blue economy, green energy and smart infrastructure are some of the focus sectors of this trade show. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also released commemorative stamp and coin on the occasion. India's Prime Minister will inaugurate the 10th edition of the Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit on 10th of January. Earlier, Prime Minister Modi held bilateral talks with Jose Ramos Horta, President of Timor-Leste, at the Mahatma Mandir in Gandhinagar, Gujarat. The leaders discussed ways to enhance bilateral and cultural ties between the two nations. Prime Minister Modi also met CEOs of top global corporations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi held bilateral meeting with Mozambique's President Filipe Jacinto Nyusi in Gandhinagar. Both leaders held productive discussions on ways to further bilateral ties, including in the areas of defense, counter-terrorism, energy, health and maritime cooperation. The Indian Prime Minister suggested that the two countries could work to enhance air connectivity to give a boost to business, culture and people-to-people relations. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi also met President and CEO of Micron Technology, Sanjay Mehrotra, in Gandhinagar. They discussed Micron's efforts to enhance the semiconductor manufacturing ecosystem in India. CEO of Micron Technology said that the company has started an Atal Tinkering Lab in India's Sanand with a cost of around $2.75 billion.
He's such a visionary leader of India and so dedicated to advancing semiconductor manufacturing here in India. And we were pleased to have the opportunity to update Prime Minister Modi on the progress that we are making with our Sanand project. So a meeting was dedicated to that, as well as Micron's focus on continuing to increase the workforce for semiconductor manufacturing here in India.
The Indian Prime Minister also met Vice-Chancellor of Deakin University of Australia, Professor Ian Martin, in Gandhinagar. Both The leaders had a productive discussion on enhancing collaboration between government and academic institutions pertaining to cybersecurity. The Prime Minister also welcomed Deakin University to collaborate with Indian universities to promote research and innovation.
We had a truly fantastic conversation around the future of education, skilling and research in India. Clearly focused on us being in India for 30 years, but tomorrow inaugurating the first international branch campus at Gift City of Deakin University. So this is a very auspicious and special day, and to combine that inauguration with the vibrant Gujarat festival, with Prime Minister Modi being here, is a very special time indeed.
India's Prime Minister met Representative Director and President of Suzuki Motor Corp, Toshihiro Suzuki, in Gandhinagar as well. Both held discussions on Maruti Suzuki's plans to make India a strong player in the global automotive market by exporting made-in-India vehicles. They also held talks on deploying global best practices related to vehicle scrapping and vehicle recycling into India. On to Europe now. French President Emmanuel Macron is expected to appoint a new Prime Minister today following Elizabeth Borne's resignation yesterday. My colleague Julia Chapman is in London. She gives us more on this and other stories making headlines around the world. Julia, is a government reshuffle also on the cards?
It is indeed, Tanvi. First, French President Emmanuel Macron will be naming a new Prime Minister to replace Elizabeth Borne. Her resignation comes amidst political upheaval in the country over immigration policies and reforms. French Education Minister Gabriel Attal, a close ally of President Macron, is being cited by French media as the likely choice to be the new Prime Minister. Well, I'm joined now by DD India's Ross Cullen in Paris. Ross, all eyes are on Gabriel Attal. Tell us more about him and why he's expected to take on the job.
Yeah, well, Julia, just under 2 minutes ago, so just as we came on air, the official confirmation, a press statement put out by the French presidency, simply saying in one line, the President of the Republic has named Gabriel Attal as Prime Minister, and he will then be in charge of forming a government. So that will be the first job for the new Prime Minister, Gabriel Attal, the former Education Minister. He becomes the youngest French Prime Minister in modern French history at just the age of 34. Elizabeth Borne was Prime Minister up until Monday. She was appointed by President Emmanuel Macron in May 2022, but due to the crisis in December related to the immigration law that eventually got passed by lawmakers, many people believe that Emmanuel Macron thought it was time for a reset, a new year, a new Prime Minister, and there have been a lot of discussions over the past week or so about who it might be, possible reshuffle coming later this week, but we now have the confirmation in the last couple of minutes, Julia, that it is going to be Gabriel Attal, the new French Prime Minister.
And Ross, you talk about a reset, but what's the broader political backdrop to this shakeup?
Yeah, Emmanuel Macron is facing low opinion ratings, his approval ratings below Marine Le Pen. She herself, the far-right leader of the National Rally Party, has been seen in a couple of surveys over the Christmas and holiday period as that perhaps actually more responsible, better place to be able to deal with some of the national issues facing the country in the moment than the President, Emmanuel Macron. Now, he is not in any danger at the moment of facing any elections. He has his current term until 2027, but he is responsible for naming prime ministers, and by trying to re-energise his government and name a new prime minister with new ministers to come later this week, it is seen as trying to regain the initiative. Also, by focusing on how to build coalitions within Parliament. Emmanuel Macron's party does not have a majority of lawmakers. After the election in 2022, it is relying on the support of other parties to pass pass legislation. Infamously, in December, the far-right National Rally Party believed that the immigration law was hard right enough for them to be able to support the government's position. That was particularly embarrassing. Emmanuel Macron wants to be able to avoid that in future. Gabriel Attal, the new Prime Minister, worked for the Socialist Party for many years when they were in power under former President Francois Hollande. So he is coming from a position of a centre-left background as well. That may help Emmanuel Macron to reach out to that side of the aisle and try to create more consensus for future laws coming this year. But Elizabeth Bourne, the previous Prime Minister, had a pretty turbulent time in office. She oversaw the pensions reforms. You might remember about this time last year, we had months of street protests over the government's raising of the pension age to 64. That eventually got through Parliament because it was forced through without a vote by lawmakers. And then last month we had that crisis over the immigration law being supported by the far right. So Emmanuel Macron wanting to re-inject and re-energise his party, specifically here in France, but broadly hoping for perhaps a better performance by MEPs related to his party and representing him in the EU elections, which are set to take place in June.
Ross Cullen bringing us that breaking news. Thank you. Now, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is on a 2-day visit to the United Kingdom. Upon arrival, Defence Minister paid homage to Mahatma Gandhi at his statue in London. Singh will hold a meeting with his UK counterpart, Secretary of State for Defence Grant Shapps. He's also expected to hold talks with Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and Foreign Secretary David Cameron. Discussions will focus on a wide range of issues, including defence, security and industrial cooperation. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is meeting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Isaac Herzog in Tel Aviv on Tuesday in a bid to prevent the Israel-Hamas conflict from spreading further. Herzog told Blinken that Israel is abiding by international law in its effort to eliminate Hamas from Gaza.
We are alerting, we are calling, we are showing, we are sending leaflets, we are using all the means that international law enables us in order to move out people so that we can unravel this huge city of terror underneath in people's homes, living rooms and bedrooms, mosques and shops and schools. Yesterday we unraveled a huge factory of terror underneath a humanitarian corridor which Israel is employing in order to help the civilians of Gaza.
Meanwhile, Secretary Blinken says he will press the Israeli government on increasing civilian access to humanitarian aid, which Israel says it is doing. Blinken added that his visit offers a chance to relay feedback to Israeli officials from various visits that he's held in the Middle East on the conflict.
I've just come from a number of countries in the region, Turkey, Greece, Jordan, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and I want to be able to share some of what I heard from those leaders with the President as well as with the Prime Minister and the Cabinet later today. And of course we'll have an opportunity to sit with the families of some of the hostages and discuss our relentless efforts to bring everyone home and back with their families. And there's lots to talk about, in particular, about the way forward.
3 Hezbollah fighters were reportedly killed on Tuesday in a targeted strike on their vehicle in southern Lebanon. Meanwhile, Hezbollah is said to have initiated an attack on an army base in northern Israel using explosive drones, calling it part of its retaliation against Israeli assassinations against the group in Lebanon. On Monday, Israel targeted and killed a high-ranking Hezbollah commander in a strike on southern Lebanon. The Russian and Ukrainian armies continued to exchange fire on Tuesday, with each claiming to have hit the other's military targets. 3 civilians in the Russian region of Belgorod sustained injuries in the latest Ukrainian shelling. Windows were damaged in 2 high-rise apartment buildings. Russia says its air defenses intercepted multiple rockets and drones launched by the Ukrainian army. Meanwhile, Ukraine said its army continued to engage in multiple battles with Russian troops on the left bank of the Dnieper River. The Kremlin has declined to comment on US and Ukrainian reports that Russia fired North Korean missiles at Ukrainian targets in recent days. In a call with reporters, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said Ukraine had struck civilian Russian targets using missiles sourced from multiple Western countries.
We leave this without comment. In this regard, I would prefer to point out that the city of Belgorod is permanently, since New Year Eve, hit by projectiles and missiles which had been manufactured in Germany, France, Italy, United States of America, and other countries. Let us not forget about it.
Ukrainian truckers are facing freezing conditions at the Polish border, with vehicles stranded in a 12-kilometer line from the Hrbeny border crossing point. Polish truck drivers on the other side of the border have been blocking the entry of their Ukrainian counterparts since the European Union allowed Ukraine to export goods without transit permits. Polish truck drivers say that has reduced their incomes and have been demanding that the EU restore a permit system for Ukrainian companies to operate in the bloc. The standoff has been ongoing since November 6th. Now, concerns have risen for Ukrainian truckers who are still waiting to cross the borders as temperatures dropped to minus 18 degrees Celsius on Monday. A caravan of about 2,000 migrants has continued its journey through southern Mexico. This comes after many were left without the papers that the Mexican government appeared to have promised. The group, which includes very young children, is walking to the southern Oaxaca town of Tapanatepec by road. The caravan's leader, Luis Villargran, said the group of mostly Central American and Caribbean migrants are ultimately headed for the US border. Last week, the group dispersed after boarding buses to processing centers. They hope to receive travel permits, which would allow them and their families free transit through Mexico. That's it from me here in London. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you very much, Julia. Julia Chapman joining us all from London. You're watching DD India Global, still to come on this show. Indonesia gets ready to join with other ASEAN countries to finalize a long-delayed South China Sea Accord.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibility. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Global. I am Tanvi Taneja. Back to Asia. On Tuesday, Taiwanese authorities issued an alarm for the entire island, stating that a Chinese satellite had passed over the airspace over South Taiwan. The short message from the Ministry of Defense that was sent out to mobile phone users in Taiwan gave no additional details. Taiwan's defense ministry criticized the mainland China government for increased balloon activity of the Taiwan Strait and Taiwan Island over the last month. Days before a presidential election, some balloons have flown directly above Taiwan, with at least one detected around a military air base. China's defense ministry dismissed allegations of interference and accused Taiwan of trying to manipulate the election. China's balloons grabbed international headlines in February when the US shot one down after it entered US airspace and flew across the country. Still with Asia, migrant workers at South Korea's Yeonpyeong Island are worried due to rising tensions as North Korea conducted military drills, firing over 200 shells near the island in what it described as artillery drills. The South responded on Friday with its own live fire exercises. The situation revived memories of the 2010 North Korean bombardment on the island. South Korea's parliament passed a bill on Tuesday to ban the eating and selling of dog meat. The bill was passed by an overwhelming 208 votes in the single-chamber parliament. The bill says that the breeding and slaughtering of dogs to produce meat for human consumption will be punishable by up to 3 years in prison or $28,800 in fines. Now, amidst the ongoing row between India and the island nation Maldives, several Maldivian organizations have called for positive relations between the two countries, terming these posts and comments as irresponsible. Several associations, including the National Boating Association, Maldives Association of Tourism Industry, issued statement condemning the action of the suspended Maldivian officials over their anti-India comments. The organizations noted that India has been a close and friendly neighbor, first responder during crisis. Meanwhile, pressure continues to rise on the Maldivian government as several leaders are initiating a no-confidence motion in the parliament. And in a related development, Israel is set to commence a desalination program in the picturesque Lakshadweep Island of India. In this unfolding initiative, they also shared compelling images to offer a glimpse of the captivating underwater beauty that defines the allure of Lakshadweep Islands. And now we take a look at what else is making news across the world. Indonesia's Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi said on Tuesday that Indonesia is ready to work with all ASEAN member states, including the Philippines, to finalize a long-delayed code of conduct for the South China Sea, where many of its neighbors have overlapping claims with China. Hundreds of thousands of devotees thronged the streets of the Philippines' capital, Manila, on Tuesday. The procession was in honor of the Black Nazarene in Asia's largest Catholic nation. The centuries-old tradition of paying homage to the black wooden statue of Jesus Christ returned after a 3-year COVID-19 hiatus. Samsung reintroduced its Bailey Home companion robot at the 2024 Consumer Electronics Show underway in Las Vegas, with artificial intelligence upgrades and a built-in projector that can project images and videos onto walls and other surfaces. Samsung also presented an 8K projector called the new Premier 8K. And now on to Goa, where the International Purple Fest 2024 is on. At this fest, innovation is meeting inclusivity. A remarkable feature has been included in this year's edition: sculptures designed for the sense of touch, ensuring an extraordinary experience for everyone. Let's dive into this tactile journey. This report has been filed by our correspondent Siddharth Bhardwaj.
Well, I'm at International Purple Fest 2024, where inclusivity takes the center stage and creativity knows no boundaries. Well, the organizers have put these replicas of sculptures here, which is not just restricted to the visual delight, but can also be felt from the sense of touch.
It's International Purple Fest 2024 in Goa, and in a groundbreaking move, organizers have erected replicas of sculptures, creating a unique experience that transcends virtual boundaries. In a pioneering move towards accessibility, the festival showcases tactile replicas of renowned sculptures, inviting everyone to engage with art through touch.
These are actually tactile replicas of the heritage monuments, national and international, and of local Goa state also. So these 20 replicas are here basically. If we imagine that how a blind person can realize or understand that how a Taj Mahal or any other heritage monument looks like, so he or she will not be able to understand unless and until he is able to touch and feel it.
This year, the festival goes beyond the visual realm, ensuring that everyone can engage with artistic expressions on display. These specially crafted replicas provide a tactile journey, allowing individuals to connect with the sculptures through the sense of touch.
Actually, this is first time I'm coming to Purple Fest. This is today is a very excited to watch this event. This event decided to all handicapped people. This is a big opportunity in Goa government.
I am very happy to see this all structures and all statues.
The International Purple Fest 2024 goes beyond visual appreciation, embracing a more profound connection with the art.
We have come up with 20 replicas which are accessible and universal in design. Why do I say that? Because it's printed 3D, it has braille, it has a QR code. The moment you scan the QR code, it gives you an audio of what exactly the monument is all about. A person with blindness, a person with deaf blindness can exactly touch and see the shape and various things done on the monument and why the monument is so important.
The International Purple Fest 2024 breaks barriers and opens up a world of art for everyone. It's an absolute delight for persons with disabilities. It's the second day and a lot more is yet to come. With camera person Shubham Sharma, this is Siddharth Bhardwaj reporting for DD India in Goa.
That's all for this edition of DD India Global. Join us for another edition of this show at 7:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram at DD India Live. You can also find us online at ddindia.co.in. We will be back with more news as it breaks air on DD India. I am Tanvi Taneja. From all of us here in New Delhi, thank you for watching. Namaskar.